Hey guys, it's your boy Richard here, and this is hand review number 2 of my July 2023 series that will be uploaded to YouTube. So this is a Micro Millions tournament that I played a couple of days ago on PokerStars, and this is a stud 8 tournament. If you don't know how stud 8 works, you get dealt 2 cards face down, which in my case is the ace and the 7 of diamonds, and 1 card face up, the 5 of diamonds. All of my opponents' cards, as you can see, are showing 1 card face up and 2 cards face down. We're on 3rd street, which means you've got 3 cards in your hand. 4th, 5th, and 6th streets, cards are face up, and 7th street, the card is face down. So basically, you can see 4 out of your 7 opponent's cards, and it's your job to piece together whether or not they have a strong or weak hand based on what you can see. So without further ado, let's see how this hand went. Now this guy here brings in the lowest card in stud, not the ace is high, but the deuce is the lowest card in stud. But there's no deuces, so the 4 that is showing has to start the betting, and that's called bringing in. There's a 4 of hearts here too, but I presume the clubs are lower than the hearts, so the 4 of clubs has to start the betting by bringing in. Now the next player on their left limps in, and there's a raise and a fold. Now we're sitting here with ace 5 7 of diamonds. Now we've got a very strong high hand draw with a 3 card flush draw on 3rd street, and you've got to count the number of outs that your opponent holds that you need to hit. So the number of outs, diamond outs for us that our opponents hold, there's no diamonds in their 3rd street door card. So the likelihood of hitting the diamond flush by 7th street go up, because we can't see any diamonds in our opponent's hand. This is a very good hand. Because in stud 8, you need to make money in stud 8, you need a very good low hand and a very good high hand. Stud 8 means the low hand are 5 cards lower than 8. If, for example, ace, deuce, 3, 4, 5, for example, that's the low hand, that's the nut low hand. Ace, deuce, 3, 4, 5 usually scrapes the pot with the straight and the low hand. These cards work a bit like Raz, so the low hand can have gaps in it, like, for example, ace, deuce, 5, 6, 7. A 7 low usually wins most of the time. A 6 lows pretty much always wins, and a 5 low certainly wins. An 8 low in stud 8 is debatable on whether it wins. A 7 low or better is what you pretty much want to have in stud 8 or Raz. But this is stud 8, which means you're gonna try and win the low hand and the high hand. If you only win the low hand and someone else wins the high hand, you split the pot. But in stud 8, there'll be multiple opponents playing in the pot, especially getting to 4th or 5th street. So the more opponents in the hand and the stronger your hand, the more chips you will make. You'll make a profit. Whereas if it's only heads up for most of the hand and you both split the pot for the high and the low hand, then you only get your money back. Whereas if 3 or 4 other opponents in the hand and you're sitting here with the nut low and the nut high, or a very strong low and a very strong high, then you can scoop the pot. And that's your ultimate goal in stud 8 to do, to scoop the pot. Alright guys, so let's see what I did in this hand. I think for a few seconds and I just call. Now this is a mistake. I should be raising to put as many chips in the pot as possible, because 3rd and 4th street, the bets are 120 And on 5th, 6th and 7th Street, the bets are 240. So I should be raising here with a very strong low draw and high draw, because I've got three cards to a low hand, and I got 3 cards to a high hand, which is a flush. And of course, high hands work like no little hold'em, where straights and flushes usually win in stud 8, but you can occasionally win with 3 of a kind in 2 pair too. But in stud 8, you don't want to play a big pot with 2 pair or 3 of a kind, because flushes and straights and full houses usually win in stud 8. So you got to be careful with those hands. But I've got a very strong 3 card low. In stud 8, it means you need 5 cards lower than 8. And an ace acts as the low and high. So you can use an ace for your low hand, and you can use an ace for your high hand. So just by calling here is a mistake. I should be raising, because I've got a 3 card flush draw and a 3 card low draw. So that's the first mistake I made. A person to the left of me folds, and there's another fold after that, and the guy with the 4 of hearts raises it up. And the guy with the 4 of clubs also calls. And the guy with the 8 of clubs, 8 of hearts, calls. And 7 of hearts, this guy with the 7 of hearts, calls. And we sit there, we should be raising again. There was a raise after us with this guy with the 4 of hearts. I should be raising again to put as many chips in the pot, because the more chips you put in the pot with a big draw for the low or high hand, or both, the better your chances of making more chips. And instead, you want to scoop the whole pot, because that's how you make the ultimate money. And I've got a 3 card flush draw and a 3 card low draw. So the likelihood of winning a sizable pot here is quite high, because the next 4 cards on the 4th, 5th, and 6th and 7th Street could be 2 diamonds, which will scoop me the flush. And if I get 2 more low cards lower than 8, I will also have the low hand. So if I can get, for example, the deuce and the 3 are diamonds, I will pretty much be guaranteed to scoop the whole pot, unless there's a full house, for example, on board that beats a flush. So I should be here after this guy here raises, and this guy calls, and this guy calls, and this guy calls. I should be raising to 360, which is the minimum raise. This is a limit. Remember, this is limit poker. I can raise to 360. I should be raising to 360 to put more hands in the pot. That's what I should be doing. However, it comes back to me, I just decided to call. That's another mistake I made. I should be putting as many chips in the pot as possible, so if I do scoop the pot or split the pot, then I can get as many chips back as possible. Now we hit perfect on 4th Street. We've got our ace, deuce, 5, 7 low draw for a 7 low, and we've still got the 3 card flush draw. The guy with the queen of, now on 4th Street, the person with the highest card has to start the betting on 4th Street, and they've got the queen of clubs, so they bet out. And the person after that folds, there's another fold, and the guy with the 5 of hearts on 4th Street calls. The person with the 4 of spades on 4th Street raises it up. Now, I should still be raising it up to 360 here, because I've still got a very strong low draw. I need 1 card that is a 3, a 4, or a 6, or an 8 to make a low. Obviously, an 8 low is not ideal. I ideally want a 3, a 4, or a 6 for a 5 card 7 low to make my low, and hopefully it's a diamond on 5th Street, so I've got the flush draw, 4-card flush draw. So in this situation, I should be raising on 4th Street to 360. However, let's see what I did here. I just limp in. I just call the raise. I should have raised. Like I said, I called the raise on 4th Street. I should have re-raised to 360 because I've got a 4-card low draw and I've still got the 3-card flush draw. And I could get 2 more diamonds on 5th, 6th or 7th Street. 2 out of 3 cards to hit diamonds and the low, another low card, lower than 8 to hit my low and flush at the same time. And that's ideally what I want to do. Now we're still in the beginning of the tournament. We're not short stacked, so there's plenty of play available here. Now, an important thing to note is there's no diamonds in any of our 3 opponents' hands on 4th Street. And if that continues to be the case on 5th and 6th Street, heading to 7th Street, we might be able to hit a flush. That is, if we hit our flush draw on 5th or 6th Street. That's good factors to consider here. So I should have raised this guy who raised to 240. I should have raised to 360 instead of just calling. However, this guy here re-raised to 360. So what I should be looking at doing is if these 2 guys don't cap the pot at 480, I should be raising to 480. Let's see what these 2 guys do though. There's a fold. And there's a call. Now, this guy calls. After this guy raises, we should be capping the betting at 480. Because we got, like I said, we've got the 3-card flush draw and 4-card low draw, 7 low draw. However, we just call, so we leave some chips on the table behind. We should have capped the betting at 480 to get as much chips in the pot so we can win a big pot later on. I just called, so that was another mistake I made. By the way, with this you can, on 3rd, 4th Street, you can cap the betting by 4 times the starting bet. So the starting bet to start the hand is called the brand, and that's half the price of the 3rd and 4th Street bet. So the 3rd and 4th Street bet here is 120, so the brand for this hand is 60. So you can cap the betting times 4 of that, so the maximum bet in limit poker is 480, and then no one can raise the 480. That's the maximum bet for 3rd and 4th Street. And you can work that out by times 4 the minimum bet on 3rd Street. That's the maximum you can raise or re-raise to. So 120 times 4 is 480. That's the maximum bet you can make on 3rd and 4th Street. And we just called that bet. We should have raised with 480, but we didn't. So that's another mistake we made with our strong low draw, 4-card, 7 low draw, and our 3-card flush draw. Now, 5th Street, we brick out. We've got the Queen of Spades. We don't have our high or low yet, so we'll be very careful here. The guy who gets the 9 of clubs leads out on 5th Street. I presume on 5th Street it's the lowest card leads out. It's got a 9 of clubs lower than the Queen of Diamonds and the Queen of Spades. So the betting on 5th, 6th and 7th Street is double to 240. So the maximum bet you can make on 5th, 6th and 7th Street by raising, you can raise to 960. But you need to do that 4 times on one of the streets to do that. So you can go 240, 240, 240, 480, 720, and 960. That's how it works on 5th, 6th, and 7th Street. So if I was to raise or re-raise on 5th, 6th, and 7th Street, on any one of those streets, the maximum I can put in is 960. So that is basically, that's like over 10% of my stack. So maybe on 5th, 6th, and 7th Street, I don't want to cap the betting at 960 because I could easily lose half, I could easily lose tons of my chips. 20% of my chips if I do that when I haven't made my low or high on 5th Street. So when this guy leads out for 240, maybe it's a good idea to just call because we bricked out on 5th Street and we committed so much chips to this pot. We want to call to try and hit our low or high on 6th Street. However, we haven't got a low draw, a high draw yet. We've still got the 3-card flush draw, so we need diamonds on 6th and 7th Street to win this pot. Because I don't think we're going to win with a pair, with a pair of aces or a pair of queens. They'll likely have us covered. So how we're going to win the high is running diamonds on 6th and 7th Street, or we just need one low card lower than 8, ideally a 3 or a 4 or a 6 to hit out 7 low. And that's what we're looking for. So this guy here leads out on 5th Street. The pot size is 2,760. This guy here leads out on 6th Street, on 5th Street, sorry. And this guy here is thinking about it. This guy likely has a 7 low draw, 2 maybe. He probably isn't going for the high. Whereas this guy might have a 4-card club draw, it looks like. Because he's only got one low card showing on 3rd Street, and on 4th Street he's got a queen of clubs, and on 5th Street a 9 of clubs to show. So that tells me he's not going for the low, he's going for the high. However, even if we both hit our flush on 7th Street, for example, I think my flush will be higher than his because I've got the ace high diamond draw. So if I hit 2 low diamonds on 6th and 7th Street, I'd ideally want to scoop the pot. And stud 8, you ideally want to scoop the whole pot because that's how you make money in stud 8, by winning with the high hand and the low hand. So this guy, after this guy here leads out, this guy thinks about it with his queen of diamonds. However, he must be fearing our hand because we got a 5 and a deuce showing. So he might think we might have an ace and another low card in here, which would mean even if he makes a 7 low on 6th and 7th Street, he could have a worse 7 low than us because the ace and deuce is the very strong card when it comes to stud 8, or a raise for that matter, because ace and deuce making a 7 low will win most of the time against another 7 low, because if they have a card higher than you, even if they don't have the deuce, if they have ace 3 5 6 7 and you've got ace deuce 5 6 7, your deuce is lower than their 3, so you will win the pot, even if you've got an ace deuce 5 6 7 and they've got an ace 3 5 6 7, you'll win because you got the deuce and they've got the 3. So that's what your thinking should be in playing stud 8, or raise for that matter, when you're playing for the low pot. So this guy here thinks about it. Let's continue on with the video. This guy with the queen of diamonds showing thinks about it. He calls. Now this is when it gets interesting. I should probably call on 5th Street because I don't want to bloat the pot too much since I didn't improve on 5th, and the betting can get very expensive on 5th, 6th and 7th Street, because if I brick out on 6th and 7th Street and don't make my low or high, I'm going to lose lots of chips. So that's probably why I shouldn't raise on this board. And remembering, the raise on this board will be 480 if I decide to raise. But we're not going to do it because we'll be leaking chips, especially if we don't make our low on 6th Street or 7th Street and we brick out with a diamond flush draw. We'll be losing lots of chips. So I think the best thing for me to do on 5th Street when the bets get bigger is just by calling. Now on 6th Street, we've got our flush draw for the high hand, and we've got our 7 low, guys. An ace, deuce, 5, 6, 7. So we've got our 7 low. Now this guy here could have a 7 low too. He could have ace, deuce, 5. He could have ace, deuce, and face down with a 4, 5, 7 showing. So he'd have a ace, deuce, 4, 5, 7 shot if he had ace, deuce in the hole, and that would beat our ace, deuce, 5, 6, 7 because the third lowest card, the 4, beats our third lowest card, 5. So I'm going to be worried about that. And the guy with the jack, it's pretty obvious he's going for the high hand. That's why he leads out, because he sees 2 opponents with low cards showing. Of course, this guy isn't going for the low hand because he's only got 1 low card showing on 3rd Street, and he hit 3 cards higher than 8 on 4th, 5th, and 6th Street. This guy leads out, and with this guy here, he thinks about it. But if this guy just calls and doesn't raise, I'm probably not afraid I've been counterfeited with the low hand. If he raises, I could be scared of the ace deuce face down, which would beat us. Let's see what he does though. He just calls. He just calls us. He just calls the raise here. This guy here calls. This guy's bet. That tells me he doesn't have ace deuce in the hole. If he had ace deuce in the hole, we would have beat our low, our 7 card low that we've just made. He would beat us if he had ace deuce in the hole. But since he just called this guy's bet on 6th Street, that tells me he doesn't have the ace deuce, and that he might be scared of our board, which of course was showing the 5 deuce 6 on 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th Street, so we could easily have him beat, and that's probably why he's a bit scared. He might have a marginal hand. He might have a 8 low showing. He might have something like ace 8 face down, which means he's got a 5 card 8 low, which would beat us, which can outdraw us to beat us if he hits a deuce on 7th Street. He might have something like that, an ace 8 in the hole for an ace 4, 5, 7, 8, which means he's drawing live to outdraw us, but he needs a deuce on 7th Street if he's got that hand, that could be why he calls instead of raising to 480 on 7th Street. Now we should re-raise on 6th Street because we've got our low and this guy just called. So I should be thinking I'm not scared of this board, so I should be raising, get as many chips in the pot so I can hopefully split the pot on showdown to win at least half the pot. And we've got our 4 card flush draw, so we just need 1 diamond on 7th Street to scoop the pot. And that's what you want to do in stud 8, to scoop the pot. So you win the high and the low. But even if we don't scoop the pot and we win only the low, we'll still be making money in this hand because we've already got the low locked up pretty much after this, I think, because after this guy just calls. So we should be raising on 6th Street, so let's see what we did. I think about it for a few seconds. I just call. Now that's a mistake. I should have just called. I should have raised. Like I said, I should have raised to 480 because I got the nut low and this guy just called this guy's raise, this bet. So we should not be fearing this guy for the low. So that's why we should have raised, because I think we got a better, even if he had a 7 low, I think we got the better 7 low because this guy just called. So we should have raised here on 6th Street to get as many more chips in the pot with our 7 low and 4 card diamond draw, flush draw, in hopes of hitting a diamond on 7th Street so we can scoop the whole pot. So we should have raised instead of calling. Anyway, on 7th Street, this guy's here's got a 3 card straight showing. So he likely got the straight, maybe, because he put so many chips in this pot and calling raises and re-raises. And this guy here, he could have a 7 low. If he's got a better 7 low than us, then so be it. We brick out on 7th Street. Actually, we don't. We had a pair of queens, but with this massive pot, the pair of queens is probably not good for the high because this guy here put so many chips in, and he's likely got the straight with the 3 cards straight on board, draw on board. And I'm thinking this guy here has a worse 7 low than us, or maybe he bricked out on 7th Street with a 7 low draw that he missed. So I'm confident we're going to split the pot with our ace, deuce, 5, 6, 7. So that's why I should be right. I should be re-raising on 7th Street because we get as much chips in the pot, and if this guy continues, then we want to win more money, basically, by splitting the pot. And we are going to make money by splitting the pot if we win with our 7 low, because there's more than 2 players in the hand, and you want 3 or 4 other players in the hand when you've got the nut low or nut high, so you can make a profit, even if you split the pot. So I don't think we're going to scoop the pot here at Showdown after 7th Street, because we've only got a pair of queens, but we've got a very strong raise. So we'll definitely should be re-raising on 7th Street to get as many chips in the pot as possible. You know, this guy has got the... looks like this guy has to lead out on 7th Street. Let's see what he does. He leads out. This guy calls. Now we should be raising to 480 because we've got a very strong 7 low, and if we lose a better 7 low or a 6 low, then so be it. If we lose to a better 7 low or a 6 low or a 5 low, then so be it. We'll put so many chips in this pot. We've got to put as many more chips in the pot to see if we win a bigger pot. So we should be raising on 7th Street. It comes back to us. He had deuce 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry, for his 7 low, and we had ace, deuce, 5, 6, 7. So the ace, since we had the ace in our hand for the 7 low, he loses with his 7 low because he didn't have the ace. That's why we bet him. And this guy had the straight, like we said. That's why he won this high pot. This guy won with the high pot because he had the straight, like we thought we had. Thought we had because he had 3 card straight showing on 5th, 4th, 5th, and 6th Street. So we made the correct assumption that he had the straight, and this guy had the worst, obviously the worst 7 low because he had ace, we had deuce, 4, 5, 6, 7. And since the fact he didn't have the ace is the reason why we won this pot. If he had the ace, he would have won. Because he would have ace, deuce. If he had ace and deuce together, and even a 5, 6, 7, he would have won. Actually, we would have split the pot. If he had ace, deuce, 4, 5, 7, he would have won because his third card, the 4, would be higher than our third card, the 5. But since he didn't have the ace, this guy is the reason why we won. We split the pot and made a profit. We split the pot with this guy. This guy here won with the high. We won with the low, and this guy got nothing back. So we made some money there. And we made a bit of money there. And move on to the next hand. Alright guys, hope you got some value from this hand. I hope you got some value from this hand. There's lots of analysing there, that's for sure. But we'll move onwards and upwards. I made a few mistakes with not raising or re-raising with a strong draw, with the flush draw, 3-card flush draw and the 3-card low draw. I should have raised and re-raised, get as many chips in the pot to make more chips, which I didn't. I pretty much won the minimum there by not raising and re-raising with a strong draw. Alright guys, hope you got some value from this. The next hand review number 3 will also be another stud 8 hand. It might be another half an hour hand review, you never know. But we'll see what happens. So stud 8 hand review number 2 and 3 might be released this coming weekend. Along with hand review number 1, which is another Raz hand. And those three hand reviews will be part of the July 2023 hand review series I'll be uploading to my YouTube channel. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Bye for now.